Morning.
Hello. Good morning. Ever early on. Hope you're doing well. Welcome in, everyone. Ooh, I got a new shirt. Cool. It is. I got this greenish yellow. Another ghost shirt. Also, I got a see-through faceless minion. Glad you liked it. Did you get 2 TTSs? Wild. Is the TTS machine broken again somehow? Okay, that activated twice. Now let's see here. Oh, hopefully I won't do it again. If it does again, then we'll look closer into it. Yeah, sorry. Just looking at the streamer bot, trying to figure out, like, when did that thing trigger twice, but no, it did. I think it just because the very first morning was too fast. So the reset first words counter was activated after that first warning from you. So, today's plan will be to return to the game deving, and then after that we'll be playing a game. Hey, you should. Exactly, isn't it lovely? Like, up there. So you can see it like the outline clearly because it is like monochrome, like print. And it's the faceless devils or faceless. What are they called now? Anyway, background band. I can see right through you. It is very true. Hey there, Aurelia. Hope you're doing well. I know. I see right into my heart. I am just a background at heart. Alright. Well, let's move this one here. And then we'll double check all of that is doing A-okay. So we'll move this one here. Now we jump back to this one, and grab that, and this one. And we can then change the scene here. There we go. So, throw a few hours game dev, get the project back on track. And then we'll play a game. And I still have, again, there's too many games I want to play at the same time. And I know not all of you enjoy all the games, but maybe we'll put it up to a vote. Maybe we won't. We'll find out when the time comes. Put up like a vote, like, hey, what do you want? Like Stationeers, more communism, or Dwarf Fortress or something. Okay, well, before we start like planning for today, let's have a quick recap here. What did we get done? We have planned out. We have the animation, speed, and size information. I guess we're testing. What we need to do is make our circle base create one attack with like 0 rune input. So we'll have a default attack. Does that work? And then we'll see, can we, by adding runes, can we change how it works? The Communist Dwarf Station. Well, Zelion, that's... I do own Oxygen Not Included, and I haven't played that either, so... Would that be the Communist Dwarf Station? It is the vanilla, no DLCs. I'm a poor man, I have DLCs for very few things. Because I don't think anyone in Oxygen Not Included is actually getting paid for their work, so... I think that would go under the whole communist thing. Station, while they're in space. Dwarf. I mean, I do believe they're all kind of cloned. So... Maybe they are maybe they are very small. It's never really determined how large anything is in that game as far as I know. We can add that to the list. Then we'll have a poll. Though Oxygen Not Included needs to be installed, which hopefully wouldn't take too long. Anyway. So. Again, just help me clarify my thoughts. Let's see, in Area of Runes, he was out just talking and explaining about how things should happen in order. We decided on... We're gonna skip this whole... shit. Because we're not gonna care about filtered, unfiltered. We just have raw and waste numbers. Yeah, we simplified that one. We need to make a proper damage array. But that one, again, can be changed at a later point in time. For now, we need to get this, just the attack system to work. So, today's goals are... Goals. What's the date? 18/01 26. Yeah, got the year right. There we go. That is the ugliest 6, but that is how it is. And so the goals are make generic attack. Should have done this all a long time ago, but hey, this is how we learn, by making mistakes, and then hopefully next time we'll remember to not do it this way around. So make generic attack from circle with no runes. Then we're gonna want then the we'll do add attack. I don't know. But I guess the first thing we have to do is just make our freaking circle and attack sort of generation bar bits speak to each other. Because that's been like the biggest problem here. Like I keep on like trying to build things, but I can't actually test it. Holy shit, guys, it ain't goddamn Raggy. Rackspin, rolling on in. Rackspin. Welcome on in, Raiders. Hi and hello. Hope you're doing well. Welcome in, Raggy. How did the Zelda go? Rolling the fuck in by Blocky the Curator. Welcome on in, everyone. How did the Ocarina of Time go? Was it actually the final stream, last stream, or thereof, or is there still more to be played until you finally beat the game? I got no idea how far deep you were in that one. Spin of Hanu and on in. Oh, nice one, Escoisa. No, it was not. Classic. I've had many like last streams, and this time I'll do the thing. Put it in the title, like today we're doing the thing. And 3 streams later, I'm still haven't done the thing. Clanky has 1998 controls. Very true. See, Ray Ray's everywhere. It's true. Ray Ray's powerful. With, power some might consider unnatural. Present in all streams. All places, all time zones. Absolutely magical, that one. And welcome in, Raiders, those who don't know me. Hi, I'm Hannu, son of Hannu, variety streamer, and occasionally, as you can see, a very amateur game developer. Now, usually on Sundays, during the last year, we tried to take part in the Try Jam, which is a 3-hour game jam. Now, this year, we're doing something different. I've finally started a long-term game project, and we're stumbling at the beginning line immediately because I wanted to build a sort of convoluted sort of attack crafting system into a game. And I got no idea how to do that, so I keep on like having to rebuild everything. And now I see, and it's been a long time since I've been able to test anything. The very first day, I slapped together a simple like testing game, top-down shooter kind of thing. You see, the kind of stuff I learned to make in my 3-hour game jams. Now we're doing a long-term one. So now I'm like, okay, we got that thing done in a day, and now I'm like, okay, but now I want the actual system with the UI and like, you're a wizard, you do spells. How do you craft your spells? We're getting inspired by Noita, but instead of having like a if then that sort of chain of spells over like here's a fireball and combined with this one makes it more interesting effects. We have like even more granular runes, so like you're like trying to make the most basic fireball on your own. And the more I have like try to make my interesting ideas sort of work, nothing works. And we can't even test it to figure out would it work, or is it just like silly or good on paper. So right now the first thing we need to do is make a sort of way to test our attack generation by skipping the entire crafting process of, can we just like ignore everything before the like second to last step, and can we make that one to create like a generic no nonsense attack? Because if that can make these pieces talk to each other, so we'll have like the part that like puts the attack in this. We have the scene of the game, we have the part in the logic that puts the attack in there, creates the visuals and chooses direction and all that. And then we have the code here that will then, make the attack. Then when the checks like, hey, what does the attack look like? Which lets this one know like what kind of attack to make. And then we'll have the actual crafting system that the player has access to. Like design your attack, which tells us then like the system, okay, well, here we store what does the final attack look like. This one is the one that makes the attack. So I'm going to try to skip all of that and just make these two talk to each other. Because I've been like trying to build this entire system without really knowing how all this works, and I keep on like stumbling over myself and having to redo things I did earlier because at a later point in time I realized, I needed this information, or I didn't need that information, or I'm overcomplicating certain things. Or like my very first iteration was because every time you try to do an attack, it went through every step, which means there was a lot of math happening at every attack, which is bad. So I want this system here to happen sort of once.
Casually Raggeh, Raid, casually Raggeh, Raid, casually Raidin, casually
I love that one. Hey there, Casual. Hope you're doing well. Casually Love it. Casually E. A. Hope you're all doing well. But yeah, so this is the logic here that I'm still trying to like figure out, because my logical, because I try to build it sort of as it worked in my head, then I realized, okay, well, like computer logic wise, we actually need, because first I would like, we do all the math and then we feed it to the attack, which creates the attack. Now I realize we only need to do this if necessary. Then we store its output here, like what kind of attack do you have, so that the game can always request that one. And this one then puts it in the scene. So this one that puts in the scene kind of does it already. So now it is essentially these three that we need to just get to sort of like have a default values. It'll just create something. Because if I know that works, then I can start experimenting with the previous steps and saying like, okay, can I now make changes in that part? Because not being able to test what you're working on means everything is theoretical, which means, well, you have no idea does it actually work. Might seem like super fantastic on paper. Practice, not so much. So we're gonna put this thing away now. I think that was enough doodly. Because we know that in general we have our multiple pages of multiple days of previously of having like notes and ideas. But we need to do this so we can actually test any of that at all. Sorry, please continue. No. I know about it. Good times. Ooh, and try to make sense of what you're trying to do. Is the spell not just simply the user selecting a fire spell, but selecting the spell that has a fire icon? Yeah, totally. That won't be it now. Yeah, the idea is the player will have, at its core, you'll have like one sort of spell circle, which is your main attack. And you build your main attack. If you want a fire attack, well, then you have to make sure they has a sort of fire elemental charge. What shape does the attack have? Is it a beam? Are you shooting a bolt? Is it an area of effect kind of thing? Well, then you have a way to determine that. And how is the entire thing powered? Are you using sort of like, which we are starting with like this sort of Anatune, just pulls in like magic of all elemental types, which then need to be filtered with a filter of varying efficiency to begin the element you want. Or would you have, as I'm later on, I'm hoping to then have things where you can use a sort of ammo to have like pre-filtered magic essentially go into your spells, which means you can either like skip a filter or the filter will be more efficient because it has less waste to get rid of. But then you have to have a sort of ammunition type of like magical crystals of a certain elemental alignment and so on. And it's a 2D game, right? So I'll have a killing an AoE in a grid of cells. Yeah. Kinda. I probably won't be using grid of cells. We're just going to use the in-game...
The magic is hamster-powered. Also, Sonoff 10 Wave Stash.
Hey, they're going to attack. I guess hamsters might be the hamster wheels of magic. Maybe that'll be the end goal. Yeah, so narratively, it started with you're a wizard with your magic powers. Now, then I wanted a sort of narrative explanation for why, you dying won't end the game. And I was like, okay, you're building these magical freaking golems, war machines, and you send them out to other planes of existence to harvest magical resources. And that's why they have limited amount of stuff that they can have inside them, and that is the sort of the complexity of the magical circle. So you can then, as the game progresses, make more complex machines, which can fit more spells, which can fit more runes, make more complex arrays. And because I want this sort of engineering crafting aspect to be at the core of the game, to be the sort of build you design. And now when it sends out and it's top down 2D, and we're not going to use grid of cells. We're using just the Godot's own these its own physics logic, because it has these what do they call them? They're collision shapes. So we're just using a round one and using an area 2D where it just detects an overlap between two areas. If yes, it checks, did you just overlap with something you need to react to? Is it an enemy, terrain, whatever? If so, then react accordingly. And Golem is on random number generation that generates resources like runes to craft spells or to cast them then. The idea is you build your own system and you send it out to fight. And then the map will be... I'm hoping to also then touch on procedural generation. Now, of course, the first maps I'll be making will be, bespoke, just crafted maps, just for testing. And then later on, we'll have to then figure out how do I make, because I would like for the randomness to also come from you choose your sort of target area you want to go send your dude. and it has, you know, X amount of, say, like this elemental stuff, and this high chance of having X high chance of having certain like other resources you want to collect, and then the enemies will be then also hopefully then have some sort of randomized elemental and sort of magical distribution. We'll figure it out when we get there. But the idea is to have the maps be sort of slightly more randomized, and your character will be just generating that one attack every time. Simple collision detector using SDFs to find where the radius cross another shape. Yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm assuming, because I'm using the good old the engine's own logic for this one, because the engine is optimized to use its own logic. So, you know, there's no point in reinventing the wheel here. If I was building my own engine using more simpler tools, then yes. We could use grids, we can use many things. It would be like a rogue-like top-down vampire survivor. Yes, Tourmalines. Except it'll be slightly closer to Brotato in that way, that I would like to have a bit of a mix, that there will be some upgrades, something happening mid-run, not just harvesting the resources, but the main build generation, like in Brotato, happens between the runs, where you then work on your build, essentially. And then, because you can then choose what kind of map you want to send your character to, you could then try to always adjust your sort of rune setup. Like, okay, we're going into a more, say, fire magic based area. So now we want to have a sort of like, well, a weapon system that it works better against those kinds of enemies and so on. Upgrading and degrading map, resource power ups, and resource harvester power ups. I mean, yeah, that kind of stuff when we get there. First, we just need to make the sort of like map, the attack creation system working. Sadly, I would hang longer, but I don't want to stay up too late. We'll wind down so long. I don't have a good stream. But thank you, Blocky the Curator. Appreciate you coming by as always, and I hope you have a good evening, and I hope you get good rest. Okay, if we look at the script size, so also then we, you know, because I want them to then have these classes for the different kinds of runes, and then have the whole like rune crafting system. So this will be like the meat of the game, and that is what I'm sort of stuck on, because I can't test this thing. I just keep on building myself into logical corners here. Now the idea was let's have a closer look here. We have the attack manager, which is the one which currently preloads our only existing attack scene, puts it in the map, and it needs a transform 2D to know where is it facing and where is it spawned in, so it goes forward. Because currently, you know, on day one we made this. I made a little polygon dude. You can move him around. It's just a visual indicator of where we're aiming. And we click button and attack happens. And when attack travels for long enough, there's a timer, I think 3 seconds, that it deletes itself. When it hits this red square, which is targeted as enemy, there's enemy hit here, so it like recognizes that one, and also it deletes itself. So now I want to change that logic, so it doesn't just do that generic one, because we have a couple of different pre-made animations for the, like, it's a little fire animation that I just put sideways so it looks like a fireball as it flies. And we had those, and they came in different colors. So if the attack manager now does a spawn attack, it uses the pre-made one. New attack, attacking stash sheet, create map, get attack container, add child, and the set transform according to the transform and return to us. It just does that. Spawn attack. Then we have one of these earlier, like, theoretical ones of how it would work. This does fuck all. We don't need it. Okay, so, and then attack, or the attack scene itself. We have, it can be either ice bolt or firebolt. So red or blue. In its process, this just makes it move in a straight line. Timer timeout, it deletes itself. If it detects the enemy, it deletes itself. Now choose animation, new anim string. So we change that. Can I just do that though? So animate sprite 2D, play animation. We comment all of that out. So if this works, and we jump into this scene, it doesn't crash, hopefully. See, color has changed. Okay, so that works. Which means we can then, we'll have to then save these eventually somewhere. Might as well be in the scene, I guess. For now, so step 1, as always, make something ugly that works. You can make it pretty later. So now when it enters the scene, we will play the animation. See, if we put it inside init here, init says requires new underscore animation of type string, which will default to Firebolt. Green needs a G. And then animation has the value of new animation. So now when it's initialized, when the first time it's created, when we do like a dot new, it should ask for, then we can give it a new animation there. And this way, when we do the ready, when it enters the scene, it'll use whatever value is stored here. Now we save that, double, then we just test what we just did. Will it still work? Still works. Jump back to the script, and then we'll say, okay, so where do we call this one? That was in Attack Manager. Here we do instantiate. So if I do it here, and I tell you, okay, so here it is, add child. So that's where it is entered into the scene. But after the instantiate, it exists, but then the init won't work here because instantiate creates an entire scene, whereas init has more if we use the .new command. So here would be then, if we do new attack dot choose animation, and here I say Ice Bolt. Save that, press F6, we got that level as chosen. Crashed. Invalid sign of property key animation with value of string on the base object type of nil. There we go. So new anim string, string animated sprite 2D animation, new anim. There we go. We stop, we save, and we try again, because here we were trying to change the value inside a node, but the node did not exist because nothing had entered the scene. So we want to save the value here into this script. So see, now we have changed the color of the attack. So that works. So now we can change the animation that is being played by using strings, which makes me itchy. I don't like using strings because I have a habit of misspelling things. Other people might have noticed me, seeing me entering people's chats and misspelling all kinds of nonsense. And sometimes I have to then rewrite things, and then the logic of the sentence gets even worse when I try to correct myself. That's why I'm gonna eventually turn a lot of stuff into enums, I think, just to save me from myself. And also it'll be handy because then we can have all those enums and things stored in like one single place, One sheet of, like, essentially good old C style, a header file with all the aliases. So they can change things there, but the logic of the code itself will not. Because if I use strings and I change one string there, one string here, it now needs to be changed everywhere. And I'm going to be all confused and break my things. But the most important thing is, we have now a way to actively change our animation here. Currently we only have 2, but that's fine. We want 2 is fine. Because now, its default value is firebolt. Then we choose animation to change that one, and then because in ready, which is the call when the node enters the scene tree for the first time, then we choose which animate that would you can play this animation, which is what it is named inside the actual animation node. So that was already saved there. So this one does also nothing. We'll comment that one out just so. Then we want to be able to affect the attack's speed and size. Currently we have a fixed speed of a float. But I want it to be run by the variable, so when the attack is created from the player, will determine what the speed is. The actual node shouldn't care. Easy enough, there you go. Speed. So now it starts with this value. Your default value is 10. Jump into the level again to test it out. See, it's a nice little fire animation. But if we make it move, it's a fireball. And then there we see how it dies after 10 seconds. Now we don't have a cooldown and all that yet. We'll get there. But now we're doing it just like one little piece of one mechanism at a time. So we also then want to into ready put another little thingy here, which will be size, which we'll be using by, so jump into the attack scene. We look at now here's our question, because if we use the transform to change the scale, which we can use, I'm afraid of how much that would affect internal math. But that's okay for now. So under ready, then we do, so this will be, let's see, just to be okay, so because it is the core node itself whose transform we're changing, we could just do transform dot get scaled scale vector 2, control click here. Okay, returns a copy of the transform scaled by the given scale factor. This method is an optimized version of multiplying the given transform x with a corresponding scaling factor, scaling transform s from the left, i.e. s times x. This can be seen as transforming with respect to the global/parent frame. Local frame. I wanted to just change this one, but I guess we... Note scale. Unscaled values 1 by 1. Note, negative x scales in 2D are not decomposable from the transformation matrix. So this one, returns the copy of the transform. So then we would have scaled, and we'll have a vector 2 1, so it's a vector of 1 by 1. It has the inbuilts times size. So we just do that when we enter the scene. So if we'll have, I guess it could work. The math wouldn't happen that many times in the end, I think. So then we do here that self.transform is because this is the same as just transform, but I want to do this for, again, clarity, visual clarity. So our own transform is replaced by, again, we'll do that as well, because why not? Our own transform scaled by the size, because yeah, we can use the vector. You can scale into, x, you can scale into y. We want them both. So with vector 1, so it's 1 times whatever size we have here. So if we do that well, first we save, then we click here on level, press F6, so we test this one. Still works, nothing has changed there, excellent. Then we, in script, look at the attack, we change our size here to 2, and we'll see what happens. Nothing. So what did I do wrong? Scale by scale factor method, it was an optimized version multiplying a given transform x. Alright. Gotta close some of these. There we go. So what's wrong here? Translated local. Change scaled local. It looks the same. Pretty sure there's a global transform. Let's find out. This might just crash. Nope, nothing's happened. Interesting. Scaled local. We're trying to copy the transform scale while giving scale factor. Yeah. Optimized version multiplying the given transform x, the corresponding scaling transform s from the right, i.e. x times s. Translate scaled. Ah, no, of course. I think I had the problem here. You see, we give it we change its transform when after it has entered the scene. So we need to change the logic here then, I guess. Where's the attack matter? See, because first we create it here, then we do stuff. So we put it in the scene, and then we use set transform to give it the transform, which is pretty much only using for translation. Alright, so, and not scaling. So changing the entire transform, it might be an issue there. So let's see if we can figure that one out. Now, yeah, because the transform is a matrix of vectors, determining its location, its direction, its scale, potentially speed. I can't remember all the details you can put inside a matrix, transform matrix, but it is a surprisingly, ridiculously powerful tool built with pure mathematics. So now we have our firebolt, then we're changing it into an ice bolt. We have a transform, we're setting it here. The animation is set here is fine. So we want to change this into a variable of, should we just have var attack transform, transform. So the attack transform, which I want to call make sure it's transform 2D. It can pretty much be empty, I guess. And we can leave it like that, because I'm pretty sure it'll then have a potentially issue or something. So the self transform is then changed into an BK. So we take the attack transform, we scale it by size, and we make that our own transform, which means we save that, go to the attack manager here, change from, comment that one out because we know it works. And in fact, we can even do it now before it enters the scene because we're saving it. So new underscore attack dot attack underscore transform takes in the value. We can't do that because it's already, we have that same name. Okay, so we jump back in here and we do it the way one should anyway. Where we do a funky tunk of just our new transform. New underscore. Can't say it's time. Where then attack transform takes the value of new transform. Oh, there you go. Callable can be assigned the variable. Yeah, so the problem is because now these are the same ones. So we'll do set new transform. Identifier new transform not declared in current scope. Transform. Heckin' works. Hopefully, at least. So then we go here, we change this from new attack equals new attack dot set new transform with the attack transform. Now at some points, okay, I'm also making a lot of temporary solutions here, and I do realize a temporary solution is only a temporary solution until you fix it. Until then, there'll be a permanent one, so I need to be careful. Just like we choose animation, we have here as a string ice bolt. I'm probably going to be changing these to, like I said, enums that we call in from a list, and then we can have a list of all the animations. All the various animations can attack, or the attacks can pull the info from there and so on. And then these one, we don't have to have any strings anywhere. They're just defined in one single spot, linked to enums or something like that. We'll make it work. For now, this shit might work. Let's press F6. It will load, attack. Would you look at that? Looking beautiful. Okay. Well, that also helps me then to make a little logical separation here. So any changes I want to be able to make sort of to the attack on the fly should be made before the node is created. So I need to make sure they all have they're set into the script itself, because the script can exist without all the nodes that animate and do all the stuff and so on. Because once we do add child, then it's in the scene, and then we can use the inbuilt ready logic of when it enters the scene, it then assigns the information we have in these variables here to the actual node that enters the actual scene here, that becomes a visual object in the game and not just a piece of theoretical logic, which means we can get rid of those. Okay, so when it enters, we just push play with animation information. We transform it, scaled by the size. So if we put this now back to 1, we save that. We F6. Excellent. Back in there. Things are going better than I was expecting. The damage information and all that is something we'll figure out eventually. I don't really care about it at this point because it's a bit of a headache for me already, because I keep on on one hand trying to add all the complexity I want in it. On the other hand, I keep on trying to simplify it, and in their marriage, it becomes even more complex somehow. It's weird. My brain keeps on betraying me. Horrifying. Also, a new game jam was started, apparently, was it yesterday? And I was thinking should I take part in that one? Because I've been Pirate Software does his game jams. Was it twice a year? And I've been meaning to partake for a while now. And I always come up with excuses to do other things. And now I've got this thing going on, and I'm wondering should I put this on hold? Or have two things running at the same time? We work on a little bit on this one, a little bit on a more short-term one. I need to make a complex system to solve the simple problem. Exactly, casual. That is how it works. I hate it. It's annoying, because sometimes you realize, I can super simplify this complex problem into this simple solution, and then what feels like a simple problem ends up becoming this really complex thing, until eventually, the brain clicks and you find the simple solution. But that's the way of things. That is the way of things, isn't it? You gotta do it I think he was quoting someone else, but I think I heard Neil Gaiman speak of how there's two kind of authors who write books. There's what he called the architects and the gardeners. The architect knows what they're doing. They have the plan. They have a schema to follow. They do this leads to that leads to this, and they know exactly what they're doing. So from the beginning, they have a plan, and then they fill it out essentially, and they write the book. They know how it's going to go. And some people write like that, and they make really good stuff. And some are gardeners, where they just write whatever. They create these tiny bits here, a little bit there, and it keeps on growing, this overgrown mess that kind of makes sense, and then they prune. And they cut it all down to shape, and then you get something so it becomes more coherent and makes sense. And that's so that it's okay to write chaotically. Make overly complex things, because then, there's a next step after that. Some people are architectural. The mind works that way. They might have the experience. They know what works, so that you go to the tried and tested solutions, and then, they do good work. But sometimes, the advantage of the gardener they might be slower, but they might come up with then some more novel things. And I find that the sort of same, I like to tell myself at least, that the same thing works for deving as well. Okay, so now we can make this. So now how do we make the circle change these values? Because now we can change also another func for this one, just because I want there to be a sort of, it's not like a true object oriented. You can't actually have things be private, but we're going to go for a theoretically private thing. So the attack manager speaks with attack only through functions. Also, because then I can change what the function specifically does within the attacks and later on, and I don't have to worry about the attack manager because, what if the variable it was directly changing is no longer called that or doesn't exist? It shouldn't care. It should just tell, this is your speed. Do with it what you will. So we do set underscore new underscore speed. And we do new underscore speed. Comes as a float. Now it puts fuck all. And we do underscore. Actually, yeah, let's do this thing. We do speed equals, or has the value of new speed. Voila, taken done. Then we look at where we have speed. We just put an underscore there. Wait for those errors to start popping up. There we go. Because there is a inbuilt sort of writing logic where these are, if it's either underscore in the beginning, it's a private one. It doesn't actually mean shit compared to, other languages like, I think it's C++ and things we can make, or was it Sharp? I can't remember. Many of other properly object-oriented languages, you can actually name things or like make them private, so nothing else like literally can interact with them from outside. Here is just, we can all just, agree to common rules, I guess. Hearing the weird bubbly sounds, and it turns out it's one of the dogs is sleeping and having a sleepy bork beneath the table here. Okay, so this thing works. So one step further now back, we look at the attack manager. So how do we get this information? So the attack transform comes from whoever's calling the attack. In this situation, there's only the player. And I'm wondering, like the simplest solution might be putting in just making two global attack managers, one for the player, one for the enemies. That would be most likely the simplest way to do it, because in the end they'll be doing things with slightly different logic. Because it's either that, or we have one that handles everything, but then just have to recognize who done it, who sent the attack, and who is the intended target, and is friendly damage active. But if we have like a specific player attack manager, that's easy because, well, we can always know what the player is. We just have a player manager global anyway for dealing with, remembering your hit points and inventory and bullshit. I might as well also keep track of where the aiming reticle is. So it always goes there. But then, how would the enemies know which enemy are we speaking of? So let's build this assuming we don't know who's doing the attack. We can make a specialized versions later. So that would mean the spawn attack simply needs to have two inputs. One, the attack transform. Second, I need to come up with a actual proper name for these at goddamn some point. Attack details. And what is attack details? So we'll look at the circle base here. You are the one who will be giving out what is dictionary. You know what? It's fine. We'll have to have Oh, there we go. Variable final attack is called an attack base. Let's look at an attack base as a class having all this information. Absolutely fantastic. Then I don't need to worry about that. We look at the attack manager, attack details of type, attack base. Hell yeah. So, then the circle base will have you do nothing at all. Here as a pointer for like a idea we had at some point. So, and the check circle doesn't do shit right now. So, we're able to hold final attack form info for quick that's exactly what we have here. So we'd have replace you with now a func of get underscore attack, and you return an attack base, and you just return final attack. There we go. So get attack returns our final attack in whatever form it might be. Also means we need to now define our final attack. Let's go to attack base. Wait. First, okay. Final attack is cast at attack base. There we go. It's just an attack base new. So this way, when this comes in existence, this thing will actually contain something and it'll be like the most generic form of an attack base. So now if we make changes in attack base, we should be able to make changes in the final form of the actual attack happening. Now, of course... Oh, we have this one here as well. Alright. Boom. Music getting interesting. Now, you're angry because this thing doesn't work anymore, because we changed spell state here to dictionary of having one attack in one waste, whereas a rune base doesn't do anything. So in order to calm those down, we're just gonna comment you completely out. So this is the next problem of trying to figure out how to then get the runes to make changes into the attack base. Now the attack base class, let's look here, animation name. Let's see, animated sprite. We have Ice Bolt and Firebolt. So now Firebolt is the basic. We're now at one point when we do the attack, we're changing that into Ice Bolt. Now we have got all just yellow, which we called Magic Ball for now, but that'll be fine. So how about we use that as the... So, Magic Ball. Very different. Valid targets. Enemy. For now. Type. String to do... Well, we don't know what the fuck that is. Nor do we care. Damage. We don't care. Effects. We don't care about at this point. Now, our default speed being at 10 is very slow. So let's do it at 100. Slightly faster. And our size... can remain at 1.0 for now. Now, let's walk through what we just did. So, circle base, get attack. Attack manager needs an attack base. Now, who is calling spawn attack? That will be, look at the player here. When we click here, input action, just press attack, aim node, non-muzzle, global transform. So, muzzle, global transform is given there. Now, do we want this handled from here? Do we care about the node? Remember, actually, no, we don't. Node shouldn't give a shit about any of that. Now, if we look then here at the globals, we should have here a player manager, which is kind of empty. Perfect. Just none of that. So here we have the variable Runic circle for now. Of type crick, no. Circle base equals circle base new. Cool. Then we have a function here which would be launch attack, because I have no... Because, close enough. We'll come up with something better at some point. So then the launch attack needs only, so we do the attack underscore transform information, which we cast. Because I don't like the whole, I didn't think it's called duck typing, where you're like, oh, it'll figure out what it gets. Then this GD language, very good with that. I'm just so unused to that. So I like having everything cast in advance, what it's supposed to be. The launch attack transform to transform 2D. Your output is void, because the player node doesn't care about what you do with this. You will either succeed or you won't. If there is an error, we'll add it to the error logic through here. Now this will be also where we then store, health, all that information, because it being a global means this is the information that gets carried between scenes and menus and UIs and whatnot. The node itself should be only there to figure out where are you aiming and so on. We could even remove the whole button detection from it. Well, no, because it can deal with that. Actually, no, it's better that way. Yeah. Then it already sort of compartmentalized into that one. So we can't launch an attack unless there's actual player in the scene. So we don't have to worry about random shit making attacks. Okay, so launch attack. What do we do? Well, we then look at the player here. We essentially do player manager dot I do believe we call it launch attack, and we give it the transform information. In the future, we might even change this so that we don't actually give it any information, but in every tick, we are saving the global, are aiming transform information into the player manager here. Save, please. Now what you do is one attack manager spawn attack. You're not doing the global, you're doing the attack transform, followed by the runic circle. No. Dot. Get attack. God damn it. Really need to go buy that new keyboard. I got money for Christmas and everything for a new keyboard, but just haven't gotten around picking it up because, my buttons keep coming off. Wait. Let's walk through this. Or am I done? No, you're angry. Why are you angry? Aim node not declared in the current... Oh, you lost $1. Well, we'll do it this way. I'm using the muzzle because the muzzle of a gun. There we go. Again, we don't need these to be already variables, because already when it's ready, enter the scene. Before it does everything, we calculate the already stuff, which in this one will be pretty much naming these, like aim node. Now look at, is necessary for this one. So this one follows the mouse position. This So if input actually just press attack, what we do, well, we now activate launch attack from player manager and we give it the global transform of this here targeting reticle, which is attached to the aim node, which is rotating to look at the mouse. Then player manager takes that information and also attaches the attack information from the player's Runic Circle, which should have everything we need in its basic new form here. And then it goes to the attack manager, which is Bones attack. First it checks it actually has a, knows where, so it has a current map and so on, and knows it has a preloaded version of the scene. So checks the map, and then it creates a new attack. Choose animation. Ice Bolt will now be changed. Okay. I don't want to do these separately here, so what we're gonna have to do is give our attack here another function, where we do func and assign underscore details Asigan. And in the name of extra clarity, we do assign attack details. And what you do is we do ATK underscore deets, because why not? And of type attack base. And whoever called you doesn't care, so output is void. And in here, how do we get the, okay, attack base? Animation equals animation name, speed equals speed, size equals size, pretty much. Now, animation takes in the value from ATK underscore deets dot animation name underscore speed, takes in the value from ATK deets dot speed underscore size is assigned the value of ATK deets dot size. And now we can have these. These are essentially being replaced by this one. Oh yeah, this will either work or crash. At least we'll know what's broken once it crashes. Blip, there we go. Invalid call, non-existent function, launch attack in base nil. Player plays GD left function, physics process. So non-existent function, launch attack in base nil. Did I? Is that the problem? Yeah, I think it was, because it wasn't a node. So the game didn't realize it should be loaded in. Try it again. Otherwise works. We got our ice bolt. Stop. Why do we have an ice bolt? Our debugger is angry most likely about yep. Okay. New underscore attack dot wasn't it set? No, assign attack details. Getting the attack details, we comment that shit out, we save, and we have 6 again. Oh, nice. Almost works. I mean, kind of works actually. The speed is good, but the transform's fucked. Now, why did the transform get fucked here?
Don't cry.
Attack instantiate. Add child new attack. Set new transform attack transform. There. So this one adds the transform information and then the details. Try it again. Holy shit. I know this doesn't look very impressive to most of you. But this means it works. So now, if I go into the base class, change this one. The Firebolt. Change speed to 200. Scale to... I don't know. No, not 10 maybe. That's a little rough. 1.5. We save. Press F6 so we can simulate that level. So we changed pretty far back in the whole logic chain. And you know what? I should have built it this way around a long time ago. And here is a good one where we want to use init, actually. Because attack base as a resource, the thing will be always created. Because right now we're just using .new, just popping in a new one. Now we have just hard-coded these default values. What we want to do is when we do the .new and then in the parentheses following new, what we want to give it? Like, well, here's your name, your thing, all these details. So we then have a default value of these being assigned and cast, but they'll be empty. And then inside this one is when we assign these values, and we can assign some default values for these things and have them change accordingly. But that is a thing we can look into at a later point in time. So the elemental power resource is also gonna have to just get a new name. I'm getting annoyed at saying this thing because it also feels a little misleading because we'll just have a like, hello, freaking, just elemental power. Skip the whole resource, dude. Because that's what we're gonna use to store damage, because I want the damage to also then depend on what kind of, general elements you're being struck by. Rather than, damage being one number and then... Well, what would be easier? Having one number be damage and then followed by, like, percentages of how much is what, sort of. So if we just calculate like resistances in percentages against each other, we'll have the final no, that's convoluted and it'll, I can see it leading to trouble. Now we're gonna do with a simple one. We're just gonna have an array of all the elements in the game, everything that does damage, exchanges that information, and then checks the other ones, because we can use the same array for damage and for resistance and so on. That'll be fine. Because if they all contain floats, it's just depending on how you look at it. Are you looking at it as a sort of like a raw damage where it's, number? Or are we looking at it as defense where it could be multiplier? But in both states, float will work. You can self-have it yourself a little tick upstairs, like some Boolean or something, like to choose like, is this like for damage or defense? Just to make sure if at any point something's trying to use it wrong, it won't. Or at least it'll give an error. Okay. So, and now we'll look at our circle base here. And we create an attack base new. And if we, instead of like when we started building from like power source towards final attack, now we're going from final attack backwards. So the next step would be the projection rune that we were looking at. Now, if we look at our projection runes, here, which would somehow create the attack. Still don't really know how we're gonna like traverse the array in the most sensible way for like identifying filtration, power sources, and projection. because we'll need to have like a spell state in between, which keeps on getting affected, and then recognize like, well, now you've reached a projection rune. What does the spell state look like? And depending on the spell state, this one then outputs an attack base, or changes the attack base of the parent. I guess we can still have the activate rune, which we define in the rune base. We change this. Again, because I have a feeling we don't actually need an output, because we're not copying this thing. Because Godot, if I remember correctly, pretty much handled everything via pointers, references. So if we change that to a void for now. Now we change this from the array into a dictionary for now. Oh, dict is me shortening things. Dictionary, thank you very much. Then we look at copying that one. We look at Rune Filtration, who has gotten angry at this. And don't need you. There you go. Now we have an elemental array here. Now we're assuming it will have, no, we're not assuming, we know it'll have then the current sort of filter power and waste. And the idea was that a filtration rune will just improve the concentration of the desired element, essentially, in our well, the elemental array here. So in that way, a projection rune is similar to a filter in that if we have, maybe it'll be better for. We've gotten like today's minimum goal done, or that we drew here, but now so I can draw again because I need to visualize. Helps me think. Definitely building this thing backwards is helping a lot. First build it forwards, right way around, then you build it the wrong way around. Eventually you'll come to a situation where she kind of works, hopefully. Maybe, perhaps. Okay. Net attack with runes. Yeah, so this is essentially what we're getting here now. So, when we launch an attack, I kind of understand how the whole freaking filtration system works. So to make an attack, we want our attack to have a single type of element. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. Unless, of course, later on we add more complexity, which we might want to. But first now, the basic bolt is a single elemental attack, which means it has to get rid of all other elements left in the power array, which is now why we want some kind of filtration, because the our current sort of main input is completely sort of unaligned magic, so equal in everything, which means if everything, we feed that into a attack projection rune, it will not create any attack because it'll have a damage of 0 and all that power purely goes to waste. So like no attack and a massive cooldown, essentially, with how the current machinery works. So what we want, we assume it's gone through a filtration system, so there's one of them is higher in number than the others. Others have been lessened and waste has grown. Now we how do we recognize then? Do we do an average? Do we find the highest number? You see, because if we have like small amount of others, one is bigger, and again we have the 4 tested with our 4 elements. Because if we add all these together, they might just overpower this thing anyway. Or what if we've filtered out everything except one thing? There's a lot of something else. So will the final attack only be, you know, that much? Or should we average these and cut it off there? So where do we cut off the final power of this thing? That is a tricky one, isn't it? You see. Well, the more I think about it, the more I realize that is an actual, like, final, like, design and balancing question. That is the kind of shit we need, like, then spend time and testing on to figure out the best way to do this filtration. So I guess for now we'll go with the average, because with the way the current system works, they'll all be the same anyway. But I'm assuming we add more variability, we're gonna want it to be the average. Ooh. And we're gonna want then to have one math to separately calculate damage, but that is something that's something we'll add. Because what if we're able to change the magic on the fly, like the concentration? Because we were stuck in ambient magic, we're running around in different maps with different kind of environmental magic, so that way, depending on the area you're in, you know, that might affect your spells. That is something I spoke about before, and I want that to happen. But we don't have to calculate everything about the spell, you know, size, animation, flow. So, because we know that was already determined there. So we then want specific functions. One to do the entire calculation, and one to only look at specific things, such as just get attack. Yeah. So we want like get only attack. Get only modifiers. That kind of stuff. So we want those, which we can build on that. We can add those at a later point in time. The get only attack is it's sort of core, so we're gonna have that one. Really helps having a way to visualize this, and rather than you just watching me write down on a piece of like pen and paper, not see what I write. So I'm glad I have the whack and pad thingy. Really does help. Okay, so back on track. Now we need to figure out, we're gonna use average, because yeah, variability will be a thing. Get only attack will be a thing. So magical imbalances in your environment, something we can count for immediately. Activate Ruined Elemental Art Dictionary Void. Yeah, of course, that's, yeah. Oh, why are you being angry? Oh, right. Because you don't have any content currently. Okay, so we're doing the dictionary. The dictionary shall contain the... Okay, we'll actually... Let's just fix that, see? And... Huh. Now, the waste, we have the. Well, I guess this will be then the raw power. You have raw power, waste, and the attack. The attack will be assigned to the final attack. Yeah. So would this then be with the inactivate rune? Would then finally go into change the names there, so we'll have the spell state dot. No, it's a dictionary. So spell state attack, which is an attack base. Now we want to change the damage. So we funk we do damage. Has the value new underscore damage typecast elemental power resource elemental power resource new. So that's a default value, and then damage takes the value of new damage. Right. So when initialize, it has a default of just new damage. Then we'll have to define these. And the rune filtration, no, projection, spell state, attack takes the value of attack base. Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah. Of attack base new. And there we see, yeah, it has a default value of just attack elemental power resource new, but it will be the spell state attack. No, but it won't be attack now. It'll be raw underscore power, which is the unfiltered stuff. No, maybe, just maybe. We'll do this. Some variables. We do raw power. Has the value of this shit. Elemental power resource. I'll copy you. I'll new waste. I'll leave that down there, so we'll figure that shit out. Now, because I want to save in the waste, and then the output of what we do with the raw power. Which means we have to look at the elemental power resource one more time. Do we actually have already with calculate total, get elements, get main element for element elemental power if elemental power. And this one just gives us the string of the name of the main element, which is in a dictionary. Get filtered is oh yeah, man, all of that needs to be freaking rebuilt. Oh man, oh, okay. That's okay, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, we'll make it a-okay. So, we will... So if we give it the elemental array for waste as an input, it can calculate its waste and add it to that one. We can total new unfiltered element power, new unfiltered dictionary, get element for in elemental power plus equals. Okay, cool. So can you add to unfiltered? Into the waste. We're just gonna add this, the new function completely in the beginning here. So I'm gonna do a new function of get attack, turn to attack, attackify, finalize, spank it like your daddy. Turn. No caps. Glad like terminals. Oh, the turn to attack, yes. So, turn to attack. Input is waste. Output is an elemental power resource. Now, how we do this is do bar main underscore lm, which is a string, which has the value of get main element. Because this one just goes through elements, the elements we have in string. There we go. Because we only care about this shit. Yeah, we can, so because once we have the name of it, we can then, you know, call it out from there. Then in the name of simplified mathematics. Or again, compartmentalization, we'll add here another mathing here where we get waste average. I don't know. It can float for now. Fota. No. That's a bit close to something very bad. Waste average. So what we do here is, you know, we don't really care about these things that much, but we could have temporarily, at least, here a bar for main lm string. We turn it into an attack, then main elem, which we don't need to cast because we cast it right there. So we save this into here. Get waste average. Oh, yeah. Because if you start out as an empty string, then we can do 4 LM in elemental power. We do this kind of thingy here. If LM does not equal main LM, we do variable for waste total, which will be a float, starts at a 0, and a variable for LM underscore amount, which can be an integer, which equals 0. If it does not equal main LM, then waste total plus equals elemental power brackets LM and LM amount plus equals 1. There we go. So followed by a return of waste total divided by LM amount. Right? Oh, right. We're doing math with it. Make him turn it into a float too, because otherwise he'll cast it. So now we have our main elemental power, and we have the amount of like average waste here. We get main element, followed by var I'm wondering, like, should this be I mean, technically plain squeaky. No. There. Because then we'll overwrite whatever the waste average is. We'll know the main elements, overwrite that one. Then because we don't need to do all this math every time, then we may be able to just get the information from here. Alright, that'll be fine. Now, we want to make an elemental power resource. Where of only one specific type of element. Set element, new element, dictionary, elemental power, new element, elemental dict, new element, or new element in. Okay, so we do var new attack elem so make a new one of these. We don't have an init. Init would be handy. That's okay. And then we do the attack element, set element. And then we give it in dictionary form where we have main element followed by the value of elemental power within brackets main underscore lm minus waste average. So now we have the same elements. We have our main elements minus the average we got for the waste. Then we essentially just return attack element. So then we have a new elemental power resource for the attack itself. We feed that back. Excellent. Our raw power, do we give a shit? Well, someone might be trying to do with it something with it at some point. So, let's see. Do we have a? Now we can put in a little for loop or some shit. Okay, so main element, okay, main element, get waste average. We have the attack element. And okay, yeah. This thing is doing too many things. We need to separate into smaller parts. That's okay. How do we store the shit into the waste though? So we get waste average. Okay. Before we do our final returning of the attack element, we didn't do a little for loop here. So for lm in elemental power, the presence of waste is already weakening our main attack. With the set elements. Alright, how do we actually add these things together? Should I just first delete the main elements, then do add to unfiltered, It's silly, but I think it would work. We might not need that at all. So that when what we do is underscore elemental power within brackets main underscore lm as the takes the value of 0.0. That should work as far as I know. So now our main element, which would be something, fire I guess, has been spent to make the attack, which we do here. Now we remove that one completely, and whatever is left over, we choose our target, would be waste dot add to unfiltered. So we'll do waste dot add to unfiltered self. Man, this is convoluted. But if it kind of works, it's okay, because then we can, like I said, if we just, as long as it kind of works, we can improve it to become, beautiful and sensible eventually. Because then we add the whatever we had left over here into the waste resource. And then I guess we'll actually do have a for lm in underscore elemental power underscore elemental power within brackets lm takes the value of 0.0. Okay. So we give it a waste for it to fill up. And it'll generate a new thing to be the attack. So if we have here, we have our raw power, we have our waste. We for attack. And it's an elemental power resource, so attack base, new damage, should be one of these. So spell state attack equals attack base, new spell state raw power, no, yes, dot, well, they call it turn to attack. That. So then it'll edit itself. It'll edit the waste. And it'll output a new, completely new thing as the thing with the attack base. Hey, Performer. Hey, I know I'm new here. I'm wondering, do you have any tips for game development? I want to start soon, probably Unity. Well, I'm relatively new myself. I'd say practice makes perfect. Just keep on doing stuff. Like for the last year, I've been doing this sort of weekly game jam. Well, I try to do it every week, but it's called the Try Jam. It happens every week on itch.io. Over the weekends, we have the challenge is to make a game in 3 hours. And it's a very fun one, and it really focuses you on having to focus your design concepts as small as possible. So what is the core concept of what I'm working on? What is the actual game? Instead of getting lost in the weeds like I'm currently when I started because this year I started my first sort of proper long-term game deving project, so now I'm trying to build something in a more convoluted way. I'm using Godot because Godot was, it's nice and free, and it works, and it's very light, runs well even on older rigs. And other than that, it depends on how versed you are in coding and game deving and so on. I know some people disparage things like code along YouTube tutorials and so on, but I think they're very valuable, especially when you're learning to use an engine like Unity and so on, because unknowns are very, very big problem. And they hurt me a lot because there's things I didn't even know could be done in Godot or Unity. So if I do a code along, even though I might not gain that much like practical knowledge of, improving my skills deeply, at least I'll learn how the tools themselves work. So I did like 3 or 4 of those before I ever tried to do anything of my own, even in Godot, because then at least I knew, okay, I know where there are nodes, I know where these certain buttons are, I know how to get to certain bits and pieces of information, I know how, I know where to find the tools and what kind of terms to use if I need to Google for some new answers. Now, of course, nowadays there's also ChatGPT and all these like AI tools to help you out. Very handy, because they will also help point out things you didn't even know existed. So, ask a lot of questions. Start projects. In the beginning, I would recommend do not start your dream game project. I found it very valuable, like I said, to do those mini game jams because it forced me to do small projects with a very, very low cost of failure because it's only 3 hours. No one's expecting you to, do anything too fancy. Being able to do the most simplest things is worth it. Like my very first game, it's still up there and it will not even turn on. You cannot turn it on because I uploaded it wrong. And the game was a stick figure jumping over other stick figures as they go across the screen. There's no win condition, and there's a maximum point where you can get to because things get too fast. And it was absolutely stupid. But I learned from that. And then every week I kept on trying to do, similar or different things, or do the same thing but slightly differently, practice. So practice makes perfect. Just keep on doing stuff. Doesn't matter if, it's cool. Doesn't matter that you don't have to do a giant mega game. It doesn't need to have proper graphics. It doesn't need much of anything. Like I can show you. Let's see here. I should probably get a link for this one. There you go. Here's my itch.io page, where I've then uploaded all the games. So I started them not too long ago. I found the Polygon tool because I didn't even know it existed in Godot. So I started drawing things in polygons. I've learned how to do things, how to have these are all essentially a white piece of graphic, which I then use a modulator to modulate that white into different colors, but then they all have the same shade because they were just slightly translucent black areas there, and so on. So you can see, and then you can use pre-made assets. You can draw stuff by hand separately. Just use blocks. So there's many of these will not work. Many of them are they won't work. Some of them are games that don't do anything. This is my only attempt at making anything in 3D. This was a special 3-part game jam where every weekend you add a new concept to the game. Oh, some of them apparently I forgot to add pictures to. This is back when I still do stuff more by hand. Yeah, these are the vampires you had to jump over. That's the first game I made here. And they just slid across the screen. So there's nothing wrong with trying to make simple games like jumper games, running games, and so on. Like the Gmail, lost internet connection, running jumping game. That is actually a very interesting one. It is a good challenge because you have to move things in the screen. You have to react to pushing buttons. You have a timer. You have to then figure out, do you have a background? Does the background move at the same speed? Do you have parallax effects? You can add a lot of complexity to really simple ideas, and those are the ones that really help you push your skills, in my opinion. That's me. Yeah, practice makes perfect. Ask many questions quickly and aggressively. Ask a lot of questions. There's nothing wrong with looking into and there's lots of good tutorials, but they can only get you so far. But they're really valuable in the beginning. These code along ones. At some point, you just have to start making stuff, and so on. So those will be my tips. Which engine you use doesn't matter. That's up to you. What do you want to work with? I see. Thank you, man. Helps a bunch. Keep on trucking and believe in you. Happy code. Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck. And engine-wise, I use Godot because it is super light, easy to use, good documentation, And I'm not making anything that would have, I'm not trying to make anything with photorealistic graphics, and I can't even do that. If I were, I'd probably go with Unreal. So, man, Unity is good, especially if you want to get into the field of game development. Unity is a very good one because a lot of companies and studios use Unity. So having skills in that, very valuable. So personal choice there.
Good morning. Time for good Archean session on my end.
Ooh, nice one, Ugla. I hope you have a good one with that one. I hope it works out, and I hope you build something super cool and actually works. What the heck was I doing here? We have the waste, we have the spell state, which should kind of do something. Oh, sorry. Not all code paths return a true value in... Oh yeah, there's the audio managers and so on that actually don't do anything just yet. What are you saying? Local function, spell state, shadowing on already declared variables, line 16. Calculate cooldown. Let's pick some of these. Finally understanding functions and more Xenon coding. Ooh, nice one. That always helps, yeah, when you're trying to learn coding, to have a project that you have, you know, a personal interest and motivation to continue with. Okay, I don't think I've changed to... Everything I changed, nothing should have affected our little simulation here, yeah. See, everything here works like it did last time I looked into it. Debugger only has 2 main elements, all shadowing already declared valuable. God. Now a main element here. We have main element, get main elements. Which means we can completely get rid of you. And we can just do that. Activate rune. If this intended prefix underscore spell states.
Hello, Mr. Hanu.
Well, hello there, Josek. Hope you're doing well. Now goes it. Slowly but surely. But now we're actually making good progress. It's not very impressive looking for anyone else, but I'm really happy with what, like, things are just finally, you know, actually doing what I wanted them to. So that's nice. Ooh, and hope you're good, by the way. I'm doing good, Ugla. I hope you're doing well as well, my friend. Hope you had a good weekend. I've been too interactive, but I'm kind of burned out having tons of work and at home for the time. Yeah, I know, I totally get it. It also, for us in the north, it is the time of the year for everyone to turn a bit more passive. You know, it's, you know, darkness and snow, coldness. The body says you should go to sleep, you know, like bear, find cave, sleep. There's no time to be active. But the rest of the world doesn't care the fact that, you know, it's dark all the time and the body wants to hibernate. We all have to maintain a freaking 9-to-5 schedule anyway. I mean, it's going. Well, that's better than it not going, I guess. Could always be worse. Going through my various drinks here. I realized I have some tea here as well. Give me a quick sec. I've been sleeping so much lately for no reason. Hey, sleep is very good for you. Sleep is important for mind, for the body, heart, and soul. Sleep is when your body fixes itself and takes care of stuff. Animal needs. Usually people have problems and they don't sleep enough. Not that they sleep too much. Unless you have, like, I don't know, narcolepsy. But that or like some medical state. But it's usually very hard to sleep too much. Okay, well, one more debugger, and that is this one. So if I underscore this, no, but then they won't. No, I'm gonna leave that there. It's fine. And I've been doing anything different for schedule. Yeah. And it could also be, I don't know in which hemisphere of the world you live in, but in the north it could also be, yeah, your body reacting to winter. And I firmly believe that a lot of the seasonal affective disorder is the contradiction of the human animal, our natural state, versus our extremely artificial lighting and society in general wanting to maintain the post-industrial sort of factory timetables, because it's dark, it's cold, the body says, you know what, it's time to conserve calories, so there's not that much food out there. There should be more sleeping and more, just persevering and surviving through the cold and dark times. But the artificial world fills our environment with lamps and lights, and there's work to be done all the freaking time. The factory must continue. It must continue so that we can, in the north, maintain the same schedule as people close to the equator. For no real reason. So kind of cold. Yeah. It might not even be the cold thing. I'm cold that absolutely affects it, but it's like many animals have their winter sort of like pelts and stuff, not that affected by temperature, but light levels actually. So it could be, the just shorter days then trigger the brain going like, we should hibernate, and then it wants to sleep more. Because the human being is an adaptable and flowing process. We also flow with not just the circadian rhythm of the day, but also the annual rhythm of the year. Big cup, big tea. The year has many days, many times. I started working like 8 hours more every week than what I'm used to, so that might be it. That might also affect it, that is very true. Well, either way, nothing. I wish I could sleep more. I have trouble staying asleep. Apparently, it's a common side effect of the whole ADHD thing. I never really questioned it that much. Sometimes I can get a longer sleep, and usually I do surprisingly well with only a little bit of sleep. So turn to attack here does stuff to this, okay? And we'll look at the rejection. Activate rune. Takes in the spell state dictionary. You write these things in, we do nothing with them when we do that instead. That's okay. Now, does this change anything? So look at the circle base. Let's see here. We have for current rune containers, current rune activate rune spell state. I'm on a bunch of caffeine right now. Some gamer subs because I was playing Warframe and falling asleep mid-mission while moving around. Oh no. Yeah, caffeine is something it's can help keep you going, but you shouldn't drink it too much when you're in the evening because it affects your body's ability to identify how tired it actually is, and therefore making you sleep slightly more difficult. And then that helps build up fatigue, and then that's probably also something that'll make you sleep more. If you find the time and energy and place for it, naps can be very efficient. I wish I could nap like I used to when I was younger. Lost that at some point. Well, clock was 7 hours ago, just sleeping for 8 hours. Yeah. Sounds like you need more sleep. for the body to do what you want it to. Okay, oh, we've had it for 2 hours. Okay, so let me change shifting into gaming soon-ish. But first, we're gonna see if we can get this thing to actually work. Now, I'm wondering, like, how should we do this? Because right now we have get attack, which just returns the final attack. So can we just, guess for testing it, we'll add into get attack something to do with our spell state. Where we give it to a rune. Rune containers. And you contain one. Rune projection. New. Maybe but I've slept for 18-ish hours since Friday after my work shift ended. Yeah, I mean, fatigue is something that takes a long time to get rid of. It's not like just pure mathematics of like, oh, I only slept 4 hours at one night, so I'll need to add extra 4 hours later. You know, fatigue builds up, wear and tear, and then to get all of that sort of sleep debt paid will take longer than the time you used to accrue that sleep debt. So fatigue is something that takes longer. And Sunday now, yeah? At 2 nights, that'll be 2 8 hours, 16. Yeah, so that's like 2 hours. That was what? 2 8 9 hours sleep. So that's, yeah. Nothing too weird about that. Normal sleep hours. And also understandable if that might sometimes leave you tired anyway. Yeah, exhaustion and sleep deprivation and, you know, general fatigue in its various forms, yeah, it takes longer to get rid of that than you might think. That's why people who have burnout it can take freaking years for them to get rid of that, if they ever do. I'm used to sleeping like 4 to 6 hours. Yeah, Mom, that might be it as well. Thanks to the magical land of growing old, where suddenly you realize, oh shit, now the body needs all this extra wear and, you know, extra care and so on. It's like I said, like I used to be able to do naps. I generally sleep less. I can also sleep like 6 hours, you know, easily. But it's not quite as easy as it was when I was younger. And the annoying part is like I still end up finding myself sleeping like shorter amounts of time, but I'm not quite as rested as I used to be when I was younger. So it's weird I'm sleeping this much. Yeah. Well, like I said, magical land of getting older. And fatigue, like I said, because if you combine that with the extra work and so on, yeah, you might have just, you know, built up, you know, fatigue in, you know, in the body more than you realized. It can be a sneaky one, that one, the fatigue. Now, how do we do this? Okay, so get attack. Let's see if we have to then create a new attack base. No. A new raw power, elemental power resource. Into the dictionary. We'll slap into rune container, so it has one rune projection rune there. So it should hopefully do something. Now let's try this one. So we start with looking at our spell state. And I guess first we'll make sure that the waist actually has something. Got new. We'll do the same thing here for raw power. The raw power now, if we look at the elemental power resource here. We get a total line out to the float. Okay. We'll do this in a silly way. So we do dot. I'm actually just copy paste some of those freaking commands from there. It'll be easier. So add attitude magic with a total float. We'll give it 50. Not by 1, just 50. Followed. That'll be 12.5 and everything, I guess. I'll be fine. And then and then we do set element. Set element dictionary of fire. $50. And we paste this in here. We didn't capitalize. No, we did not. So now they should, in theory, have a raw power with a little bit of gibberish and 50 points into fire. So the final attack should have less than 50 points in fire, if we can figure that shit out. Okay, elemental we had here, turn to attack. Which we did through the projection rune, where we activate the rune and we give it the dictionary. And it'll do the thing. So we do rune containers 0 with the first one because it's an array dot activate rune with an input of spell state. Followed by final attack, takes the value of spell state, brackets, and attack. Alright. This won't work, doesn't do anything, but it hopefully not crashed. It does not crash. Now our final, if we look at the remote, can we find this information here, by the way? And if we go into player manager, the runic circle, final attack, speed is 200, size is 1. Name is Firebolt. Yeah, we didn't touch any of those. Damage. Total, main element 0. It worked. It filtered out everything else. Fire's not the 50. We hard-coded it here, but it filtered out the other ones. Heckin' works. Of course, the main element on that didn't get saved, but that's something we can work on. Main element string here is empty. Get main element. Gold here. Return main element. So let's try here then. Main lm equals that. Stop. We save. F6 again. I'm just so happy. Like, yeah, again, I know it doesn't look very exciting to anyone else, but you can see because we go then here to, like previously, we check out the in-game player manager. Inside player manager, we had the runic circle. The runic circle has a final attack information, name firebolt. Then we have the damage, which is the one we've been editing here. Interestingly, still doesn't save this here. So this gets changed. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So we'd have to do it here. Okay, yeah, because we create turn to attack, return attack, LM, which we create here. Or LM in elemental power, return attack, LM. So attack LM needs to do is attack LM dot get main element, save, and not just that. Waste average at the value of this. Yeah, there we go. Get main element. Now there should be, yeah, get waste average should remain 0. Total should be the same as that one. Okay, we made some changes. We have 6 again. Oh man, I'm really excited now. Because yeah, we cannot visually seeing much, but I have now can actively see here through this logic that the nonsense about main element is fire, total of 37.5. Waste average remains 0. We'll look at the dictionary itself. Hacking shit works. Oh my god, it actually works. After all this time. So now we can start to add more complexity to it. Especially because now we have the main elements stored here. We'll have to have a... I guess the next step is making sure the animation shows the main element, which is now stored inside this one, the damage here. So if we look at the runic circle, which we're using to call the attack, and in the final attack, we have a damage, which means that in the final attack, which was the... Let me stop that one. The... No? Yes? Perhaps? Yeah. So here, we are now just initializing according to the elemental power resource thing. We are looking at the speed and the size, but looking at from the damage and the elemental power resource, we can now define based on its main element, we check which animation we should have. Oof. The fact that the various parts are not sharing super simple information and communication is cool, but irrelevant because, well, at least they're talking. And that was the one I had trouble with, trying to figure out what should talk to what and how. And I was overcomplicating things, and now they're at least talking. Now we can start overcomplicating things again, but in a way that actually hopefully works. So next time, yeah, get the animation done and all the other stuff. It's gonna be heckin' grand. I tell you, heckin' grand. But I need to go to the toilet. And it's been 2 hours. Part of me kind of feels like maybe we should keep going, but also a part of me thinking, well, we've done the minimum. So we should probably start looking into gaming soon. Can I do this? Let's see. Another screen. Jump to this one. We jump to this one. And we'll see how active you guys are feeling. So. Make a poll. Let's see here. Workers. These are the kind of games I'm feeling like right now, so we'll do. I'll give you all. There you go. Create a poll. In case you all feel like participating. If you don't, that's okay. And if you don't, then I'll choose myself. So, and yeah, there you go. We do a BRB. Have a little break, then come back, and then we'll see about what do we play. So the options were like Stationeers, Dwarf Fortress, Work as the Resources, because other things I have installed, and add is something else in case, people just feel like, I don't know. I think, I might have Noita and Void Stranger installed as well. And we could always see about making more space and putting in like Oxygen not included. But if, you guys don't feel like voting, that's okay. Then I'll choose myself. But I gotta go take care of my weak humanly needs. Oh, look at that. Ads are starting soon as well. Wonderful. Perfect timing then. So, I'll see you soon. Hello, I have returned. Now let's see how it's all looking. First, we're gonna change scene soon. Alright, looks like we've got a 50-50 vote. Stationeer's Dwarf Fortress. This will change scene. There we go, so I can use the main screen for stuff. Wait for that poll to end. In the meantime, I'm gonna save my work. Close off Godot. Where's the other one? Okay, so 50-50. Stationeer's Dwarf Fortress. We'll see how that works out. Can I close that one? I could. Wonderful. Okay. On the tube view, everything's going okay there as well. Wonderful. Alright, so we're gonna change then over category first on this side. Since it's the 50-50, I guess I'll give the veto vote. And that's a tricky one. I kind of want to do the whole Stationeers because I've been addicted to it lately. At least I know people do want the Dwarfy Fortress, so yeah, let's do it that way. We do the Stationeers today, and Dwarf Fortress on another day this week. That's a promise. So we do one change here. We change it here. Where is the thing? We copy. Alright. Stream info change on the Twitch side. Yeah, excellent. Then on the YouTube side, I will be ending the stream so I can restart the stream and get it under a new title and everything. Alright. Weird warning from YouTube. Anyway, so I'll be ending the live stream now, and I'll be back shortly.